Yes, yes, yes. Everyday Superpower signing in. A little bit of food for thought whilst I chill out tonight. Let's talk about overcompensation. Overcompensating. I'm not a linguistic master. I don't know the ins and outs of the definitions and the technical jargon and whatnot. I can only speak my experience, and we can only speak about what we know. Overcompensating. The people you see that possess such an overt quality question whether it's concealing the complete opposite. For the most part, I reckon it is. When you see the most beautiful women, but not beauty through genetics, beauty through superficial means, an excess of makeup, styling through the hair, the eyelashes, the clothing, peacocking essentially, and then you could apply that to the men. That's beauty. And what's the opposite of beauty? Is that how they think towards themselves? The most muscular men, the scariest looking men, men who walk around with tattoos pasted across their face in an attempt to look hard, to look tough. Are they concealing the fact that they feel scared and they have to overtly create this character and quite literally create this mask to hide their true self from the world? Is the person who doesn't need to talk loud, the person who doesn't need to inform everyone of their successes, the person who doesn't need to spend £500 or dollars, if it's in your case, on t-shirts, is that a confident person? A self-assured person? Potentially in them realms, because what is overt might be concealing the opposite. The person who is verbally the most violent, the most aggressive, with near to no reason to act in such a manner, first and foremost is hurt, and you have to identify why they are acting in such a manner. I bet it's not due to recent circumstances, but more so a link to their development and their childhood. I speak for myself. When I was a teenager and when I was a little bit older, I used to really dislike authority. I found a tribe within music communities and societal pockets that also disliked authority, and I thought we were a people, and I saw what existed in me in them at a later date when I took it seriously, and that was an insecurity down to a dislike of the father figure, the parental figure. That was me taking control, or believing I was taking control, and reacting in a emotional manner towards those whom would give orders and portray themselves as some sort of authoritarian figure. I would rebel, such as a child would, when I wasn't a child anymore. A lot of people don't clock on and see these issues and find the roots. And I personally still have a lot of trigger points that I can't identify where they stem. So you will see people walking around with issues, but they are portrayed as a accentuated, vice versa, the contrary of who they truly are. The quietest person might have the loudest actions, but the loudest person might realistically have no power at all. To me, there's nobody less scary than a man who puffs out his chest, drinks protein shakes, goes to the gym every day, lifts the heaviest weight, is actually physically strong and large. Because I know there's a reason as to why they take that so seriously. And you best believe it's not out of care for their health and fitness. There comes a moment where it becomes overcompensation. When people verbally have to lie, they may be overcompensating out of a lack of belief in themselves and what they have to offer. They may believe what they have to offer is inadequate, so they have to make up big, grandiose lies. We've known people like that. When I was young, I used to do that. When I was a young child, I used to lie. And then as you get a bit older, you realise that everybody's story is different. Everybody brings a completely different experience and bucket full of knowledge and information, which, regardless of what path they've chosen in life, brings quality and communication and honesty and reality and connection in conversation and communication. Politically speaking, when you find people who are so overt with their political compass that they have to trash anyone who doesn't abide by their way of thinking or perspective, you have to look at why. Why are you being so bold with this? Consistent selfies, consistent uploads of one's being. Is it pride or is it a need for attention for what they don't believe in? Is it a clarification that they are worth something? i.e. comments or likes in the cyberspace? Are they using that as a currency to fight back the doubt of how they really perceive themselves? Now, this isn't the case at all for everything I've just mentioned, for the whole of it. But you have to wonder, don't you, why? And such as the body language and the non-verbal communication, what we talk about on this channel, we will see patterns, we will recognize patterns, and we'll start to identify the same actions, reactions, and so forth in people and people and people and people in our life's experience. I will overcompensate. to hide weak spots in ways I'm not even consciously attentive to. I can sit here and tell you that I'm aware and I know my weak spots and I've let loose and I've this, that and the third. But there is so much undercurrent that runs beneath the surface within my psyche that there will be heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps that I try to hide out of view, to keep me and my little child safe, the child that exists within me, the child that, like any other child, has had ups and downs through development. No one comes out of it perfect, right? And that's my little food for thought today. A little chat on overcompensating. Strengthening the weak spots, but doing so in a manner that it becomes a little bit superficial, a little bit artificial, not the real way of doing so. As opposed to looking inside and understanding the issue and unraveling the problem, you just try to cover it up and it still exists. Peace.